Hi guys, it is Wade McMaster here. Today, got another quick video for you. We're going to be showing you the first part of how to completely customize your WordPress theme using Divi 4, the latest version of the Divi theme. Now, the reason why we're going to go through this is because, well, we're going to step it out piece by piece, so that way you can just sort of go straight to where you want. So there's different videos in a playlist, which we'll link to in the description below. But basically, with the new theme builder, you can design the actual theme template using elements of the page builder, whereas in the past you could only sort of create a basic theme using the customizer and then create individual pages with the Divi page builder. But now they've extended that to the ability where you can actually build different sections of your website templates so that they're global across, so you don't have to worry about using the page builder for certain pages. Now that means that if you want to write a blog post, you can actually have a custom design for your blog post templates, and even dependent down to the category or whatever it is you're doing, and fully get a really customized look for your website. So as you can see here, I've got Divi installed. Now, basically, I want to give you a quick look. So basically, the idea is if we go into the theme builder here, so the Divi on the left and then theme builder, we have this theme builder section where we can build a header using the Divi builder, build a global body and a footer, and this will go across the entire website. We can then further customize by adding a new template and applying it to certain areas of the site. Or we can leave this blank with the default template and only create a template to use on any of these areas here, such as, you know, your search results 404, projects, products, shop. It can all be completely customized, and it's really exciting. I don't think we've ever seen anything like it really in the past. So you can use, or you can even just choose to exclude it from certain areas on your site. So that's basically where you would start. So what we're going to focus here today on is the header. Now, before I do get started showing you this, I wanted to just quickly run through and show you what you can achieve just with the basic customizer, because you can do a lot with the customizer, but I want to show you the limitations of it at the same time before we go and really start getting into the nitty-gritty of what you can do with the Divi theme builder. So the first thing I have to do is actually going to go into theme options here on the left, so under Divi and theme options. I'm actually going to upload a logo. Just a test one. This is just a test site I'm working on, so this is just a logo I've made for the sake of the video. So I've popped a logo on there under my Divi settings there. I've saved those changes. And now I'm going to go to the theme customizer. So you can see we've got this basic layout. This is basically almost the stock standard Divi theme as you get it out of the box, but I've got our logo, we've got some menus. In our menu section, we can actually customize where they go. We can have one in the secondary menu, which is the top here, and one in the primary. Not too concerned about that at the moment, but I just wanted to show you what is possible with the header area using Divi. So if I go to headers navigation here, up to header format, I can choose a header style here. I can enable a vertical navigation, so that way the navigation is actually on the left. I can make it on the right. So you can actually have your navigation set to the left or right of the page. I can turn off the vertical navigation. I can even go centered, which has the logo on top with the navigation underneath, and you still have your secondary there. Obviously, if you turn off the secondary navigation in your menus or just in your standard WordPress menu area, this section here will disappear. But for now, I'm just leaving it there so you can see what you can put in there, but it's pretty straightforward. You can have a centered top and bottom. Once again, you can have it vertical and centered. You've got centered with an inline logo, so this will pop the logo in the middle with your navigation items either side of the logo, which can be pretty nifty. It can look a bit lopsided though, because of the simple fact that you know, if you've got 4 here, 3 there, or maybe the words are different sort of widths, so it doesn't necessarily always work out that well. Once again, you can go vertical, but that's just like the standard. You can do a slide in. So basically the way this works is, instead of having anything on the screen, you have your logo here and a little button that you click, and the menu slides in on the right, which is pretty nifty. And then of course you have full screen. Same as the sliding, except instead of the sliding popping up, we click here, we get this cool full screen menu. So those are your standard Divi menu options. I'm going to go back to the default and just stick with that for this video and publish that. But that just shows you what you can do before you even start to use the customizer. So you might find that you don't even need to use it with Divi because it already has some pretty powerful customizer settings there. But there are some limitations. Obviously, if I go into the primary menu bar, I can change the active link color to, say red to match the logo. Text color, I can make that orange, black. I can change some colors in here, including drop downs if you have multiple, items underneath, subfolders. But apart from colors and maybe changing a font, you don't have a lot of options really. You can change text size, but it's pretty limited. You can make it bigger. You can change the logo height. You can get pretty extreme with it. So for most people, this is going to do the trick anyway. But if you really have something specific in mind, anything outside of these parameters can't be done here. It needs to be done using the theme builder. And of course, we have our secondary menu, of course, where I can change the background color and that sort of thing as well. But we're pretty limited to what you've seen here as to the types of layouts that we have in the actual build-up. We can change colors around, have this dark, have the text white, but if we want to add an image or we want to do something a little bit fancier, we're sort of stuck with what we've got there. So I'm going to close that off. You can see I'll just tab, I've got another tab open here, I'll refresh. I've just added that logo in there. So this is what we're looking at the moment with our default menu system. So I'm going to tab back to the other tab. I'm going to go into the theme builder now. We're going to start exploring how this header section works. So basically the way we start off with is we can add a global header here just by clicking and build a global header. And if you already have something in your library you'd like to use, you can also go to there. But for now, we're going to build one using the global header. Okay, so I'm going to click Start Building. You do get a few funny little things like this happen every so often where it refreshes, but once you get through that first little bit, it's generally fine. Obviously, like I said, you can browse existing layouts or choose a page, but I'm just going to go straight to Start Building. And we're going to pick a full width row. And I'm going to start off, I'm going to pop a menu on there. So we've got our main menu, we're going to pop on there. We can add a logo here if we want. So if I want to, I can click in here and grab my logo. And we're sort of in that initial territory again where our options are pretty standard. Nothing exciting, but the difference is now because we have this here, we can change what menu we want. Obviously, we change our logo, but there are certain elements. We can add our search icon on there, which pops up down here. That's another standard icon. The shopping cart, we can turn those on or off. I wouldn't worry too much about the link, but you can set, if someone clicks on the logo, where that link will go to, or the module, so if someone clicks on the whole thing. I wouldn't recommend putting a link in here for your navigation because you want people to click on the individual items. But one of the most exciting parts is, for one, we can choose a color, which is all good. But I'm thinking for this, I would actually leave it as transparent because I want to actually use the section for the color because it's a full width. So you can see the navigation is this small area here, and the full section is this blue box here I have highlighted. But if I go back in here by hovering over it and clicking on this little cog here, I go into this design tab and I have a few more options. I can make the logo centered again, inline centered. You get the same similar kind of options as you did before, but now we can start getting a little more specific with some of the font options. In here, we can add a shadow if we want to. Maybe we want to make the menu text shadow color. We make a blue or black. So we can start to add shadows if we want. We've got the menu line height, so we can make the line height a bit taller or shorter. There's just a few different options there. Now I want to make this light, so obviously going to disappear for now, but you can change certain things like the shopping cart color, the search icon color, even the hamburger menu, which is the 3 lines that came up before. But you can actually go through and if you have a logo here that's square, you can go through and round the corners. So if I did this at say 100 pixels, it would round some of the corners off here. which I'll just change this background so you can see what we're looking at. And what I'm doing here, this whole row, this blue area here, I'm clicking on that, changing the background to a black color. And you can see we have our corners rounded. So that's something we can do to images too if we'd like to. Now I am getting a little bit clicky here, but so we're here, we'll hover over the nav, click on the cog again to the design tab. We'll pick up where we left off by going to logo. So I'm going to reset that. Now the cool thing about the Divi theme is with almost everything you have different settings for if you want mobile, so desktop, tablet, or mobile. So you can actually check these settings and make sure they work and have specific settings for each device type. And you can even set up a hover option where things change depending on hover. So these are little extras you can do so that, say if I decide that on the hover, I want to round the corners for some weird reason, maybe 50% to create like an ellipse. Now if I go back here and tick, now if I save this, it should technically hover. So what I'll do is actually save this here, just to show you for the sake of the video. And I'm going to close this off. I'm going to save these changes. Now we're going to go a lot deeper into this, but I just want to show you for now, if I tab across, just how easily it comes into play. So you see here now we have this, I go over here and we get our little hover animation. So you can set up all these little individual design tweaks. So that way, if you really want to get it exactly how you want, you can spend your time making it exactly how you want. So I'm going to tab back and we're going to continue editing this. So we're back here, I can pick up where I left off. If I don't want to leave it, I can actually turn it off for now. So that way, while I'm editing, the old header is still there. But I'm going to keep that turned on. I'm going to click on the pencil to edit it again. So I know we're darting back and forth here a little bit, but we'll get some fun stuff in a minute. All right, so we're going back in again, back into our design tab, and I'm going to turn off the hover option. Obviously, I can add borders to the image. I can actually change a few things in here. I can add like some shadows. I can even change the hue of the image. So if you have if you have something that's grayscale with say a really strong color and you want to change it, you can just change the hue in here to a green. You can bring the saturation down so it's grayscale, pump it up. You can invert the image. So there's all these cool options that allow you to just even the opacity of the image, so it's semi-transparent. Blur it. There's all these cool options that are just right there in your browser for you to work with. Now under sizing, of course, we can change the logo size, max height, that sort of thing, the width. So these are all pretty standard. We're going to get, so what I'm going to do here, you can see we've actually got some padding here. This is a very tall navigation. So I'm actually going to grab the padding at the top of the blue here and just knock it back. Same down here. And now we're starting to get a navigation that's looking a little bit more normal. But what I want to do is I want to change the background on this whole width, this whole section here. I'm going to go into this blue area for the section. Now just to recap, this blue area is the row that everything sits in. The green area is your columns. At the moment we're working with one column, but we are going to switch that up soon. And then of course the actual module within that column is this gray section here, and we can keep on adding if we want to. But for now I'm going to go into the full width section by clicking the cog. And you can see here under background, I've already got a black background color. Maybe I want to make it red. Or maybe I want to add a gradient. I can actually click here to add a gradient if I want to. So we've got this here. Maybe I want to make it a red color again. And maybe I want to make this green color like a darker red. So we've got this nice gradient option here that we can use. I can make it radial like this. Go back to linear. I can change the direction of the gradient so it goes left to right, or so we can sort of move that around a little bit and even change how far in the gradient starts and how far in it ends so we get sharper results that way. So you can do this is the sort of thing you couldn't do with the other sort of navigation header customizer. Now, I'll come back to this in a minute because one thing I find really cool, if I go here, for one, you can add a video on there, which is cool. I don't have any videos for this, so I won't be doing that here today. But if I click here, I can add a background image. Another thing you couldn't do before with the customizer. So if I click on this and say pick this little texture here, now I have a background image for my header, which is pretty cool. But once again, maybe I decide that image is right, but I'd like there to be a fade. I can actually go back to the gradient tool. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click place gradient above background image. I'm going to go back up to the top. I'm going to make this color red and make this color, say, like a nice dark black. And I'm going to try and get the direction so we're going black to red. And then I'm going to select this red here. And on the right, we've got some sliders here for opacity where I can drag that down. And now we have this gradient over the top of our image. And once again, we can change where we start and even more effectively where we end. And you can see we're starting to get a bit more of a nifty looking navigation. I can go back in. Like I said, maybe I want to add some shadows to this menu text. So I'll click on menu text, scroll down, add some shadows. Now it's very faint there, so I'm going to make it black. And I can change a few things about the shadow, move it across, move it down, blur it a bit more. So now we've got, it's just looking a little bit better again. We're just starting to get a lot more control over what we're doing. Now, before I said when we've got our column system here, we can add more modules as we go. So you can see here, if I click here, we've got all of these modules. We can add like accordions, audios, we can add a blog module, which shows all your last blog posts, buttons, we can add a blurb, we can even add custom code. We can literally build an entire page just within our header section here, which I don't necessarily recommend, but it does show you the level of flexibility that you have. So you can pretty much customize this area however you want. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to close this down. And up here with our columns, I'm going to click this little box here and change our column structure. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a button on the end to get people to subscribe or some kind of call to action. So I'm actually going to click here. Maybe we'll go a bit bigger. No, we'll go set this one here. Then you see here, we've got a limited space. This has changed a bit. So maybe I've decided I don't want to put that logo image there. I'm going to come up, click on the logo. I'm going to bin it. And maybe I'll actually add the logo as an image. So we'll go back in here and we've got a few different options. So maybe we'll go something like this here. I'm going to move this navigation across to there. And we're going to just center it. And now we're going to add an image in here. So I'm going to click here, scroll down to the image module, and pick my logo again. So you'll notice we've got a bit of an alignment thing here where this is kind of like on top. We want it to be centered. So once again, I'm going to click on this cog setting, go to design, spacing, and I can move that down. So I think I've got the wrong section here, sorry. Margin at the top, we'll say make it 20, and that's moved it down. We can simply move that up or down with these arrows until we're happy. So now we're going to add this button over here. I'm going to click on new module. I'm going to add a button. So it looks pretty ugly at the moment, but we can customize it fully like we can everything else. So maybe we want to change that to subscribe, or some kind of, maybe if you run a small business, it's call us now with a phone number link or something like that. And you can even hide it when it's just on a PC so people can't click it mistakenly. So with a link, we normally put a URL in there. It's going to put a hash in there for now. And we go back into this design tab. And also, just for another note for you guys who are a bit more advanced, you can go into your CSS, change CSS, certain attributes like the relationship, no follow, the link. Yeah, this is where you can change and disable it on a phone, tablet, or desktop. So you got all these options here under advanced that are worth checking out as well. A bit more advanced, but you get the idea. So once again, we've got our alignment. So I'm going to center this so it's aligned center in the area over there. And if I want to, I can actually right align it so it's right up against the edge of the design. But when I hover and go to phone, and on tablet, maybe I'll center it. So now it actually pops up in the center. And on the phone, it is also centered. But on the desktop, we've got right align. So this is one of those cool little features where you can assign different behaviors for different types of devices. Now the text, we want the text to be light because it's on a darker background. And under here for the button, we're going to change the style of the button. So we want to make the text, we can make it bigger and just have it really huge. Kind of overshadows the logo a bit, so we'll dial it back. And we might make the text color, let's say yellow. And we can also add a button background. We can add an image if we want to, which might look a bit funny. We'll just choose this. So you can have an actual background image on your button. Seems a bit silly to me though. I would just tend to go with a color, maybe black. We could change the border width. I would probably pop that up a bit. I decide that color is a bit disgusting. I'm going to go back to the white. And also the border radius so we can round those edges. And like before, we can change our font. So maybe we'll go to permanent marker, which is what another font I used on the logo. Subscribe. And then we can head down to our little spacing area here. Go to that top margin to push that button down a bit. Now also, we can choose a box shadow. Maybe we want to make that shadow a bit darker, so we'll just go for a straight black. A bit strong. Dial that opacity down a bit. So you can already see how we've started to create a bit more of a custom logo, a custom header. Nothing super out of this world, but we're sort of getting there. Now, another thing we can do with this image is, let's say we get sick of the square look. Another cool feature of the Divi builder in general is down here I can transform this to sort of like a different size. I can rotate it or I can skew it. So one thing I might do with this logo is maybe I'll skew it just a little bit. Now these are links, so I'm going to unlink them and just try and get this skewing one way like that. So I personally think it looked better before, but this just shows you what's possible. And then of course you can have it pop up with an animation so that when they arrive, this nice little animation brings it on screen. Sometimes animations can look a bit cheap, but if you have the intensity down so it's nice and subtle, you get this nice subtle effect. All right, so this is our header so far. I'm going to save it and keep moving. So you're probably thinking that that's not bad, but you have a few more options to get it looking the way we want. What happens if we want to make it taller? We can simply grab the padding on the blue section here, make it larger. Once again, I don't necessarily want it larger. One thing we can do is actually add in more to our header. So let's say we want to add something at the top above this. So I can actually go up here, add another row. So let's say a regular. Okay, full width again, just one column. Maybe this time we'll add a bit of text. So we'll go down to the text module. So many modules here to choose from. And we're going to say something like welcome to Web Design Fraser Coast. And we're just going to sort of leave that like that for now. Actually, I will go back in there. I'm going to make the text. I'll make the text white. And I'm actually going to make this whole row background black like before. Actually, I might go for a gradient. So we're going to add a gradient. We'll go black to maybe a gray. So I choose a color. Dial this right down to the bottom for grayscale. Just move it down to make it darker. Change that direction a little bit. Now what I'm going to do here, I'm going to grab the padding on this blue section and just dial it right back. And then in our column area, we're going to actually dial the padding back there too. Oops. Now this can be done by hovering over your cog setting, going to design under spacing and typing the number in and controlling it there. Sometimes you might just want to do it yourself. All right, so I've got this here. I decide I want to move it. I can pop it above. Now we can actually go in here again and change the column structure. Maybe we want, again, 2 columns. And maybe in here I want to add a search module or something. I can add that search module in there. search here. Now, once again, I can show the button or not. You got a few things here. You can exclude certain areas or categories. You can do things like change the placeholder color. So maybe I want to make it bright white, which I probably wouldn't, just because it's a placeholder and you want people to think they can type over it. So we can change a lot of things. The field background color, make it pitch black. The text color white. We can basically go through and change all the individual options, add a shadow, to get this looking the way we want. So, we've got a border at the moment, it's 3 pixels, and maybe we want to make that a bit darker because it's just a little bit full on. So we can fully customize this. There's obviously the button text. So we've got all the options are here. You just got to spend the time to go through and find them, and you can get it looking the way you want. So we can add a little search bar at the top here, like so. Maybe we decide we don't want this text module, so we ditch that here and we add something else. Countdown timer, email opt-in. You've got all these options here that you can add in. You can even add the post title in there if you wanted to. It's really just a matter of going through, having a play, and you can get pretty much any look that you want. So even up here, if I go back up here, just for something a bit different, it's going to make the background pure black again. Oops. I do need to remove the gradient, so I go into gradient, bin that gradient, background black. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to shrink this back a bit again. I'm just doing this for the sake of the video to make it a bit quicker. Now, if I decide I want to increase the size of this again just a bit more, I'm going to add a divider along the top here to get it looking a bit different. So I'm going to go up the top, design, under dividers, we've got our top divider, and we can choose something a bit different here for the look. So we can actually add this cool divider, change the height, and create something really unique for our header. So that's what I'm going to do for now. I'm just going to leave it at that. This isn't the most attractive header in the world, I will admit, but even if I want to remove this top section, or if I want to simply move it underneath, all the options are there. That has turned white because there's nothing above it. Divi is very smart at picking the rows that are above or below other areas. You can even, of course, if you want to, move your navigation down here. Oops, I've got it on the wrong side there. It does have a few weird little things that play up every so often, but you get the idea. So you can literally just move everything and place everything exactly where you want it to get the result you want. It's pretty powerful. I might just Control Z. You can Control Z to undo, put it back the way it was. I'm not going to save that. But it's one of those things where you can just sit down, have a play, and really get it looking the way you want. It's really powerful stuff. All right, so you save that. We're going to close the theme builder, and we're going to save these changes. Now I'm going to tab across, and this is our little menu we had before. I'm going to refresh. Now, as a web designer, I probably wouldn't create something that looks just like this, but you can see what's possible when you start to play with the options. So this is basically what our header looks like. We've got a pretty cool little setup here. We've got a search bar at the top. We're starting to get things looking the way we want. So that's basically it so far. Now, I have got another video in this playlist coming up soon. We're going to be looking at how to basically edit the body of your website. But as for now, if you found that really useful and you thought there was something there you could use and you haven't actually tried out the Divi theme, please head to the link I'm going to pop up on the screen right now. It's also in the video description below. It will take you to the Divi website. You can download the Divi theme there and go from there. It's a really powerful theme. I've actually run a web design business almost solely off this theme. It is absolutely fantastic, and that's before they released this feature, which just makes it even more powerful. So now that is an affiliate link that if you do purchase, I do earn a commission. But like I said, it's just absolutely amazing. This is without a doubt the best WordPress theme I've ever laid eyes on as a WordPress web designer, and it's extremely user-friendly. Once you wrap your head around a few bits and pieces, you can have a lot of fun getting it looking the way you want. As you can see here, it's just really cool. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please stick around or check out the playlist link in the description below to see more. And we're going to keep going from here and building upon this design so you can see just how flexible this theme is. So thanks for watching the video, and I'll talk to you next time. See ya.